Princess Cruises' first sailing in Alaska in over a year and a half has just returned, and of course, we want to share all the details with you. From the dining to the entertainment and daily activities, as well as the ports of call, we review everything in our exclusive Princess Cruises Alaska Cruise Review. Welcome aboard, cruisers. I'm DB from Eat, Sleep, Cruise, and Majestic Princess is Princess Cruises' only cruise ship in 2021 sailing in Alaska. Now, the ship will return to the region in 2022 as well. So if you're looking to sail to Alaska either this year or next year with Princess Cruises, this cruise review is for you. Of course, if you have any questions, please put them in the comment section below and we'll make sure to answer them. Normally, we always fly into the port the day before a cruise, especially if there are any time zone changes. Unfortunately, we were unable to do this because of other family obligations for this trip, so we actually flew in the morning of the cruise, flying from the East Coast out to Seattle. Before the trip, Princess Cruises requires guests to complete an online registration in its medallion app. This multiple-step process is easy and lets you choose your boarding time. Now, unfortunately, we did our check-in a little bit later than we normally do, so the earliest embarkation time we could reserve was 1 p.m. With our flight arriving in Seattle at 10:40 a.m., we weren't sure what was going to happen once we got to the port. Luckily, when we arrived at the Terminal 91 in Seattle around noon, we were able to complete the check-in process right away. The entire process took about 30 minutes. Moving through the steps quickly, we had to show our passports and vaccination cards first. Once we were verified, up to go through security and grab our medallions. From there, it was smooth sailing to the gangway and then officially stepping on board the ship for the first time. Disembarkation was equally easy and even more efficient. Given all of our luggage, we skipped our usual self-checkout routine. Even though we had a late day flight, we kept our assigned departure time of 7:30 a.m. Arriving at our meeting lounge, Deck 6 VIP Casino, our luggage tag color was called about 10 minutes later. From exiting the lounge to scanning off the ship, grabbing our bags, and hopping in a taxi was about 15 minutes. Deck 16 midship is the main pool area. This centrally located space includes 2 small pools, whirlpools, and the fountain show. For a ship of this size, pools did seem a bit small. However, this doesn't really matter much on an Alaskan cruise. During our 7 days, there was only one 70+ degree sunny day that was ideal for using the pool. Although individuals still use the outdoor pools on some of the other days, braving the elements. At any given time, there were plenty of lounge chairs scattered around the main pool deck area and the sun deck above it. There were even additional lounge chairs tied down as we were sailing at reduced capacity of a little over 60%. Forward on the vessel is adults-only Hollywood Pool Club. This is similar to a ship's solarium. It includes a large pool, 2 whirlpools, a bar, and a variety of different seating options. The temperature control was less stuffy than the typical indoor pool areas. And on those cooler sea days, this venue was busy, but you could still find a spot in the pool or a lounger. The tranquil conservatory, all the way forward on Deck 17, doesn't really fit with the overall vibe of the pool area, to be honest. The decor and amenities are still very Asian-inspired, and they seem a little out of place for an Alaskan cruise that caters mostly to Americans. Though it was a nice indoor glacier viewing location for our day cruising Glacier Bay. With the ship sailing slightly over 60% capacity and a full crew on board, there were plenty of staff. Though, we did feel the service throughout the ship was a little unbalanced. At the bars, service was always fast and friendly. We never waited long for a drink, no matter the time of day or the venue. Most of the lounges also had ample waitstaff walking around taking orders and helping guests. The International Cafe was certainly undermanned at the beginning of the cruise, with long queues and waits of over 30 minutes for morning coffee. Subsequently, the cruise line did resolve the issue after a few days, making the morning breakfast rush more manageable. In the World Fresh Marketplace, cruise ship's buffet, the staff served guests most items. Given the large layout, there were generally no lines in the buffet, and staff were quick to help cruisers with their food selections. Table service for drinks and clearing plates was even faster. However, the main dining room was probably the most variable. We dined in the MDR 4 out of the 7 nights, with the Dine My Way option. On 2 occasions, our waitresses were outstanding. Their service was friendly, fast, and very attentive. On the other 2 occasions, service was very slow. This is not to fault the waitstaff, as they were working very hard, though it seemed like they were managing too large of a section. At the specialty restaurants, service was rather average. We didn't feel it was any better than the main dining rooms, nor was it any worse. Majestic Princess offered many of the usual daytime cruise activities cruisers love. With no formal social distancing on the ship, these events were open to everyone and reservations were not required. Actually, out of our 4 cruises so far this year, Majestic Princess offered the most variety in daily activities. There were 2 Alaska experts on board as part of the North to Alaska programming, who offered regular talks about the history, geography, wildlife, and the native culture of the region. There were also additional cooking demonstrations, behind-the-scenes talks, and activity staff events. Some of these cruise activities included games under the stars, trivia, and various other competitions, with a sports area including a putting green, a sports court, ping pong tables, and a laser shooting simulator. Cruisers could take advantage of our unseasonably warm weather when not ashore. With a wide variety of activities, there was certainly something for everyone to enjoy on sea days. For this cruise, we chose the cruise line's flexible dining option called Dine My Way, which allowed us to pre-book reservations prior to the cruise. So we booked 2 dinners in each of the 2 dining rooms that were available to us, Concerto and Symphony. Most of our dinners were scheduled between 6:20 and 6:40 p.m. in the evening. Now, we've been on over 40 cruises, most of them with contemporary cruise lines, and overall, we would rate the main dining room as pretty average. In fact, in our first few visits, we were quite disappointed as the food quality did not live up to the Princess Cruises' dining reputation. Though menu selections did improve over the week. Menu items like the pork belly by Curtis Stone and the veal scallopini were some of our favorite entrees. None of the starters in the main dining room really impressed us at all, though some of the desserts were better when compared to other cruise lines, especially the Chocolate Journey's choices and profiteroles. While many cruisers rave about the dining at Princess Cruises, our initial cruise did not convince us that it's better than its competitors. Majestic Princess features 3 specialty restaurants. On the first formal night, we made reservations at the French-style restaurant Bistro C'est La Mer. Overall, the food quality was on par with similar venues on other cruise lines. I enjoyed the tuna starter, and the wife raved about her potato and cheese tart. For an upcharge of only $29, we would certainly consider dining here again on another Princess Cruises cruise. Our second specialty dinner was at the cruise ship steakhouse, the Crown Grill. We did enjoy this restaurant, and again, the $29 upcharge is a bargain when compared to other cruise ship steakhouses. The spiny lobster cake was crispy and filled with lobster. Opting for the surfer and turf, which is an additional $10, the main lobster tail was leaps and bounds better than the main dining room offering. The desserts here too were among our favorites of the whole trip. When it comes to food, the casual eats on Majestic Princess shined. We were particularly fond of the International Cafe and Alfredo's Pizzeria. The International Cafe is a 24-hour snack venue and the resident coffee house. Along with fresh breakfast sandwiches and pastries in the morning, the venue offered a variety of sandwiches, cookies, and other treats throughout the day. The sandwiches, like the roast beef sandwich and the Cuban, were much better than the pre-made sandwiches from other lines' cafes. With other options like fruit cups, chicken pot pie, and soups, the International Cafe provided plenty of variety to satisfy all those cravings without having to go to the buffet. Of course, there's also the casual pizzeria Alfredo's. After our first lunch at this sit-down restaurant, we quickly discovered why Princess Cruises is often voted as having the best pizza at sea. Now, near the pool deck, there are 2 more casual options. The unique Chopsticks Noodle Bar offered a small menu of Asian-inspired dishes and 1 daily special. Additionally, the Burger and Lobster Bar served a wider selection than a typical pool grill. The spot included not just burgers and fries, but chicken sandwiches, tacos, and even a lobster roll for an upcharge. Finally, the World Fresh Marketplace is the ship's buffet. The design did give this large venue a more intimate feel. For breakfast and lunch, we would say the food selections and quality were on par with other cruise lines. We did not dine there at all for dinner. Breakfast included all the favorites along with a custom egg station. Lunch featured several hot entree options, custom salad bars, a taco bar, and grab-and-go sandwiches. The Princess Theater on Majestic Princess featured a new show each evening. Almost every night, there were 2 showtimes at 7 p.m. and 9:15 to accommodate all guests. The ship's singers and dancers were featured in 2 production shows. Both were performed on the ship's formal nights. Sweet soul music featured Motown hits and other classic songs. It felt rather short and was pretty standard for a cruise production show. Encore was more of a spectacle. with large set pieces and more ornate costumes. Featuring several popular Broadway songs, personally, I was more fond of this show when compared to the other one. The remainder of the shows in the theater featured headliner acts. Among them were 2 winners of the Fleet's Entertainer of the Year. The Princess and I differed on which ones were our favorites. The Princess enjoyed the showmanship and technical skills of the piano player, while I always enjoy the comedy shows the most. Other acts on the ship also included a magician and a soprano soloist. Now, if you watch our videos or read our blog, you know that we're creatures of habit. So one thing we loved about the nighttime activities was the predictable routine each evening. Almost each evening, there was a hosted game show in the Princess Live entertainment venue. Further, we liked that there were 2 show times for this particular venue to accommodate various dinner schedules. Among our favorite shows was Yes or No, The Liars Club, and the Marriage Match game show. In the Piazza, there was rotating live music throughout the day, ranging from piano music to a strings duo to the upbeat Pacific Trio. The ship's rock band, Ocean Boulevard, played regular sets in the Vista Lounge. There was also nightly movies under the stars, as well as other events like trivia. Now, allegedly, according to the cruise director, the Hollywood Pool Club also turned into a nightclub in the late evenings. Although, we did not discover anything resembling a dance club on our 2 visits to this venue later in the evening. Honestly, this was fine with us, as we prefer enjoying live music and drinks from one of the bars and lounges anyway. Now, speaking of bars and lounges, Majestic Princess features 10 different options. Many of them serve the ship's standard bar menu. Although, with the Ocean Now technology, cruisers have expanded drink options that can be delivered anywhere on the ship. As far as theming goes, Majestic Princess does not offer elaborate bars like Royal Caribbean or Norwegian Cruise Line. Off the atrium is the ship's signature wine bar, Vines, with bottles of wine and expanded wine by the glass lists. Another bar with a stick menu is the Martini Bar, the Crown Bar. This venue featured some of our favorite drinks, including my go-to sidecar and the Princess's favorite toasted almond cocktail. Good Spirits also has a small signature menu. For outdoor bars is the Fountains Pool Bar, Seaview Bar, and the Wakeview Bar, all on Deck 16. These venues provide typical cruise cocktails along with great views. Across the ship, our drinks were well made with extremely speedy bar service. We greatly appreciated the consistency in both drink quality and service, especially given this was the busiest vessel we have seen in all of our cruises in 2021. We stayed in a balcony cabin on Deck 10, cabin C310. Now, according to the deck plans, this BB category balcony is approximately 220 square feet, including the balcony. When entering the room, both the bathroom and closet were to the left. This cabin did offer abundant closet storage with a plethora of hangers. There was also a series of shelves right next to the closet. The bathroom felt on par with other cruise lines, although it did feature a shower curtain instead of the typical sliding door. As for the inside of the cabin, it certainly felt smaller than comparable rooms on other cruise lines. There was not even enough space for the traditional love seat or table with a chair. The desk area was also very compact, but not much in terms of storage space. With some creative unpacking, we were able to make do for the entire week. The balcony included 2 chairs and a table, with just enough space to enjoy the scenery with a drink in hand, or to take some photos from sail-in or sail-outs. Our 7-night round-trip Alaska cruise from Seattle included 3 ports of call, including Juneau, Ketchikan, and Skagway. In addition, one day was scenic cruising in Glacier Bay. Now, we weren't sure if you were allowed to book private excursions, so before our cruise, we booked all our excursions through Princess Cruises. Our first port of call was Juneau. Here in the capital city, we did a combination tour of whale watching and a hike that ended at one of the viewing areas for Mendenhall Glacier and the accompanying lake. Our Juneau stop was later in the day, originally supposed to dock around 12 o'clock. However, the ship didn't get there until closer to 12:45. Our tour was supposed to meet in the theater for 1 p.m. given this new time. It's here that we learned we were going to have to wear a mask during our entire tour. Now, later in the day in Juneau, when we walked around the city, there was no mask mandate. It was mostly a mask mandate when we were indoors during the tour. Our larger group was broken into groups of 20, and then we were assigned to different buses. The 20-minute bus ride to the whale watching vessel included a narrated history of the city and the state of Alaska, with some personal narrative from our tour guide Alita. Our group then boarded a custom-made vessel perfectly designed for whale watching in Alaska. Now, for once on a whale watching expedition, we actually saw multiple whales. The 2-hour excursion included multiple sightings of mostly humpback whales, Now, along the way, Alita provided several handouts and displays about the different types of whales and animals and wildlife we would see in Alaska. After our whale watching, the next stop was Moraine Ecology Trail, near the Mendenhall Lake. This approximately 1-mile hike was a more tranquil and less crowded experience versus our previous trip to the Mendenhall Glacier National Park back in 2018. Also, it didn't hurt that we were the only cruise ship in town. Escorted by a local guide, the tour included a narrative about the native history and local fauna and flora. While we were advised to be on the lookout for bears, we actually didn't spot any during our walk. But we did get to see Nugget Falls and Mendenhall Glacier and Lake from a different perspective. Getting back into town around 6:45 p.m., Juneau was empty, and I mean like completely empty. So instead of hustling back to the ship for dinner, I convinced the wife to go grab some food and drinks at the historic Red Dog Saloon. When else would we have such a great opportunity again? Now, on the next day, the ship stopped in Skagway. Now, we've been to this port multiple times, so the wife convinced me finally to do one excursion she's been wanting to do: visit the Bald Eagle Preserve in Haines. Now, this is an all-day tour because you actually have to take a water shuttle from Skagway, which is about 45 minutes to an hour, to Haines, and then take a bus ride to the actual departure point. Getting to Haines and then taking the 30-minute bus ride to the departure point, we were issued our gear and directed to a specially designed riverboat that allows you to navigate the shallow waters of the Chilkat River. The massive Eagle Preserve is home to the most eagles anywhere. It's also known location to spot moose. Prepared with our borrowed heavy-duty jackets, as well as our personal cameras, we set off close to a 2-hour jet boat adventure. These slick boats move at speeds of close to 20 miles per hour. With open design, it certainly feels like you're zooming across the river. Sadly though, we did not get lucky with any wildlife sightings. We saw only a couple of eagles and one log that was allegedly a moose off in the distance. We actually saw more eagles sitting on telephone poles in Juneau the day before than we did in this natural preserve. Needless to say, we were a little disappointed. The next day was scenic sailing in Glacier National Park. Now, the day's itinerary had us entering the park around 6 a.m. and departing between 2 and 2:30. Upon entering the park rangers actually board the vessel and set up shop in the conservatory, where they had different exhibits, placards, and different literature, as well as dioramas to describe the history of the park. The major glacier sighting started around 9 a.m. with the Marjorie Glacier. We had a crystal clear day. It was beautiful. It was sunny. It wasn't that cold at all. And we got very close to a glacier. Having been to Alaska multiple times, this was actually probably the best glacier viewing we've ever had. Other glacier sightings include the Pacific Grand Glacier, Eddy Glacier, and the Lamp Plug Glacier. It was certainly an unforgettable morning. Most of the significant viewing was completed by 11:30 a.m., which gave us plenty of time to grab snacks and regroup before the 1 p.m. Ranger presentation in the main theater. 45-minute presentation by Ranger John integrated the park's history with his family's personal journey up to the state. I thought it was really well done, even if it was slightly less factual than I was expecting. Our last port of call on day 6 was Ketchikan, and we were up at 6 a.m. and both surprised to get a glimpse of something you rarely see in Ketchikan: the sun. In fact, it was a bright, beautiful morning as we slowly approached the pier. For this port of call, we booked another wildlife encounter, the Neats Bay Bear Watching Cruise. We were hoping for a more eventful trip than our Eagle Preserve tour in Haines. Following directions on our tour tickets, we met at the pier, where it was a little bit of a chaotic scene. Despite the sea of people, we eventually found our tour guide, checked in, and waited about 15 minutes until our entire tour group was ready to leave. We were then escorted to a nearby pier to board our sightseeing vessel. This specially designed boat included 2 viewing decks with plenty of space for our group. The onboard naturalist did an amazing job throughout the morning, pointing out specific landmarks and providing us with a history of the area. With such clear weather, you could see for miles. It seemed like the ideal conditions for spotting wildlife. Along the way, we passed the state totem park, as well as some research facilities. There was also the naval submarine testing area, as well as an old paper mill off in the distance. Still, a good hour into the cruise, and there is no wildlife yet. At one point, we did come upon an eagle's nest, and not too long afterwards, one lone eagle sitting in a tree off in the distance. We also spotted some sea lions sitting on a rock. As we got closer to the hatchery in Neats Bay, our entire group was on bear watch. While we didn't have any binoculars, I was using my rented zoom camera lens, looking for any signs of animal life on the shoreline. After 2.5 hours on the boat without any bear sightings, we began to drift away from the salmon hatchery and make our way back to Ketchikan. Just then, through my lens, I spotted something on a small beachfront. I zoomed in all the way, and it was unclear if this was an animal or actually like a rock. When this unidentified object began to move, I snapped a few pictures. Honestly, from this vantage point, I thought it was someone's dog. Showing the photos to Heidi and then our naturalist, we came to the conclusion that it was indeed a small bear in these blurry photos. Sadly, that would end up being the only appearance of these elusive creatures during our excursion. Heading back to our drop-off point, about 20 minutes east of our ship, most of us were surprised to hear that our tour included a bus ride back to the ship. I guess we kind of overlooked that in the tour description. After being bused back to the ship in Ketchikan, we decided to head back on board to grab some lunch and enjoy a few drinks with the amazing weather. As the cruise line's first vessel to return to service in over 16 months, Majestic Princess delivered a memorable Alaska cruise. With various activities that catered to all types of travelers, cruisers could customize their onboard experience in between the exciting ports of call. Majestic Princess appeals to a wide array of cruisers, from those looking for an enriching and educational experience to those who simply want to relax. This megaship offered all the traditional activities, events, and dining experiences that we love about megaship cruising. Happily, we found these experiences to match our expectations when compared to other brands. This made us feel right at home, even though we've never sailed with Princess Cruises. Opting for the always included pricing, our cruise fare encompassed Wi-Fi, a drinks package, and gratuities. So once we were on board, there were no worries about the tab. We enjoyed this added convenience. We also love the medallion technology. Having the cabinet unlock as we approached and the ease of ordering at venues were definitely perks. With other app features, including the daily schedule and ability to make reservations, planning each day was a breeze. While we honestly didn't take advantage of the Ocean Now mobile ordering or the crew call chat features, we can see how these features also improve the guest experience. Hopefully, use of this technology will become the industry standard. While it felt like our tour operators were a little rusty, overall, we really enjoyed our shore excursions. They were mostly efficiently run and did include everything in the description, even if the actual tours lasted longer than we expected. With Princess Cruises in the process of resuming service all over the world, we look forward to getting back on board another Princess Cruise vessel and exploring a different region in the near future. And there you have it, that's our exclusive review of the first Princess Cruises Alaska cruise in 2021. But of course, we'd love to hear from you. Let us know your cruise review from Princess Cruises in the comment section below. I'm DB from Eat Sleep Cruise, and if you found this cruise review helpful, we have tons of other cruise reviews from our recent trips right here on the channel, including our review of the first cruise from the US on Celebrity Edge, as well as our recent review of Viking Cruises' Iceland's Natural Beauty Cruise. If you're looking for some inspiration, you can check out our picks for the top 10 cruise ships of 2021 right here on the channel. You can also reach out to us all over social media at Eat Sleep Cruise, where we'll help you see the world one port at a time.